Welcome to Weeks Ahead AI, where business owners learn how to use AI to save time, cut costs, and stay weeks ahead.
Today, we're going to find out if your IT company is behind the curve here on AI. As we're staying weeks ahead, make sure your IT group is not weeks behind or months behind. I'm Brad, and this is Mitch with me. We've kind of been left hanging by Terry today.
Another vacation?
I think it's another vacation.
Another vacation.
That's right. But that's okay, because today we've more than made up for Terry's absence. We have Brian Davis and Joe Craven from On-Site PC Services. Welcome, guys.
Thank you, fellas.
Thank you. Thank
And
you for having
these
us.
guys
Thanks for having
blew
us.
my mind randomly like 3 weeks ago. At
Yeah.
one of your events. So I'm
That's
super
true.
excited to get into this.
Well, they're definitely showing up and showing out right now. We've recently turned some of all of our IT services out to On-Site PC Services, and have been really pleased with them. Not only your responsiveness, but you're certainly thorough and very knowledgeable.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
we're
It's amazing. to
Yeah.
hear.
glad to be part of it.
Well, very good. Yeah. So in addition to manage IT, do cybersecurity, cloud management. And today we want to understand kind of what you guys are thinking about in the world of AI and how it, we often, I think for most of us, we think, okay, our IT guys should know all there is to know about AI. And so maybe we're covered as long as we've got a good AI or IT guy or group backing us here, we're covered. But let's really dive into that and see if that's the case.
Let's go. All right. So I'm curious to know, when was the first time you got a question from a customer about AI? And did you immediately stiff arm them and say, "Don't worry about it"? Or how did you respond?
I would say
I don't. I think that I don't think we waited.
No.
I think that we made the initial outreaches to our clients.
And were they just deer in the headlights? Like, what are you talking about?
well, so one of the things we always hate is to be asked by a client about a technology and we go, "Oh yeah, we do that." And that means that somebody else has already asked them. Another IT company might have talked to them about that.
Right.
With AI, it's an absolute, tell me what you need to know. And we'd already done webinars. We started a webinar series with it to bring clients in. But yeah, no, I can't remember exactly when the first one was, but a lot later than what I expected, just the topic.
I'd probably put it about 8 months ago, and I remember who it was, and
Okay,
we've
yeah.
had some fun with them since then. So
Yeah.
And overall, are they excited the first time you mention it? Are they scared, hesitant? Is it just
I think it's all of the above.
Right.
Just in human society, you have change agents and people who are super resistant to change, and most people are somewhere in the middle. And it's some people are really afraid for their job and their livelihood, and that's understandable. That hits at a real close pain center. But yeah, others are really curious.
Owners are more curious, obviously, than people that don't have a stake in the company.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
and the average size business from a head count that you're talking with, what's the general size of the business most of the time?
Well, our clients are from about 10 humans up to several hundred, and all of them have needs, and we're talking to people at all of those levels. There are certainly ones who are more sophisticated and larger and further along in their journeys, but that's not always representative of their size or correlated to their size, and so.
Right.
And when you run into roadblocks right now, as you talk to your current customers, is it the bigger companies or the smaller companies that are more hesitant to get involved?
Yeah, the smaller companies seem to be more willing to get involved into that journey, maybe because they're want to get that competitive edge. They see the value in AI, right? Mm-hmm. They've actually dabbled in it a little bit. At least from what we've seen so far. Bigger ones, the good thing about big companies is they can implement it if they choose to decide this is the route to go for AI. But really, we've gotten a lot from the smaller companies, which has then leveraged us to get into conferences and do presentations and be able to talk about it because word of mouth spreads. But For me, I think small.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd agree.
Because they're not. It's not like turning a cruise ship for them. They can pull a
Yeah,
lever.
they're more
Exactly.
agile, right? The owner is typically the one who is, AI is just their next new idea. Yeah, so-
They're idea guys, and so they're
Sure, yeah,
gals,
they're
and so,
entrepreneurs,
yeah,
and they're-
they're,
yeah.
And when
they're
you're competing
aggressive.
against the big boys and the other bigger, competitors, you need that leg up. And I think the smart owners are really looking into that and going, how can I get that little extra?
Definitely
leverage?
helps you to fight above your weight class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maintain kind of more of maybe a smaller staff, right? So
Yes.
it's kind of finally a way, like you said, to kind of have that advantage of saying, okay, I'm small and nimble, I can move quickly, like Mitch said, but also I don't have to scale up, to this very large degree. Maybe I can think of it in new ways.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, and grow in
Yep.
new ways.
100%.
Okay, so in what ways are you seeing small businesses? You mentioned kind of working with a little bit on the smaller side. What ways are you seeing them use it? I mean, in business, in kind of to improve business communication specifically.
I would say, really the easiest adoption or less barriers would be something like Copilot, right? Where you can easily tie it into your Microsoft infrastructure. It's easy to implement.
Yeah.
For email communication, being very polished and sending out those emails where you may spend, I've spent many a nights looking at an email for 20 minutes thinking if I worded it right. That's a very small example, but that's an easy way to get into it when you see it, rewrite it in a way that you thought all along that's how it should have been done. You just aren't an English major and you're up working till midnight as a business owner.
We specifically we have a client who we worked with to build an agent for the people in their accounts receivable department, because their written communications sometimes didn't convey the importance, or maybe the appropriate tone.
Why didn't you pay this?
Right.
Yes.
Right. And so now rather than leaving it to those individuals, that agent helps them to be consistent, to make sure that the messaging
Right.
is correct, and so it's it's they've been pretty
There's some
pleased with it.
easy wins you can do with AI where you don't have to be, just a total.
Yeah, and we're finding that. I mean, we had a guest last week that was kind of his first, and he was using ChatGPT in that case, but his first kind of real foray into it was just having him write some improved email communication and kind of getting those points across that he's trying to do. So you mentioned, Brian, Copilot. We kind of we kind of laugh and joke about Copilot as the stepchild a little bit, but obviously Microsoft is. I mean,
Sure.
they're giant and they're gonna.
Just give them time.
Yeah.
Give them time. And
What is your
just,
outlook on that?
Well, okay, I would relate it to Windows 10 to Windows 11. I've always been a big steward of good operating system, bad operating system, right? Because I was hoping 11 gets skipped, but it didn't, unfortunately. But historically, Microsoft always takes their time, but they also do it because there's guardrails they want in place. There's a lot of data that you can accidentally connect together. Copilot's an easy one from an email perspective because it's just quick and it summarizes email and all that. GPT is where the power is at, right? And that's where we have our team. And our team, we have a team account. Everything's, locked down within it. We're training our own model.
Right.
But there's ways, like Joe mentioned, to do that. But Copilot, yes, give it some time because they do have GPTs as well that you can do. They've got a whole ecosystem, but their GPTs may be based around weather and, hey, tell me the weather for today, right? It's not as, cutting edge because they don't let it be that way. But
It'll get you started.
it'll get you started. You'll be able to see, okay, wow, it's going to give me that same format every day, how I want it, a daily planner. That's not making me excited to have a daily planner. It's just there's so much more you can do with GPT and ChatGPT.
So I've got one that I got to add here.
Yeah.
We can, and I don't want to get too sideways, but specifically for Copilot, what I see as when Copilot will take over is when it writes in your own voice. And so one of the challenges, we were talking about this in the green room. One of the challenges, like Brian said, you don't want to take a highly technical person or someone who has really poor communications and just start using Copilot because
It doesn't sound like you.
Right. It doesn't sound like you, right?
Yeah.
Today you can easily feed either GPT or Copilot or any of these LLMs your own work product, your history, and tell it now write in my voice.
Right.
I think the real killer is going to be when Copilot just does that automatically. It already has access to all of your written.
It's seen exactly what I've
communications,
done
right?
for the last 10 years. yeah.
Right.
Have you heard of Fixer AI? Have you ever used it?
I have.
Have you? They made some updates recently where you can upload 10 gigabytes of data of emails you sent.
Yeah. So okay. I'm glad you brought that one up. So Fixer, what?
Did we just find a security breach?
So I watched a video on this on marketing on Fixer and not just on Fixer, but just on in general. It's like you've got, if you're looking for, it does great at managing your email and your inbox, right? Creating drafts and things like that, and doing, where you could quickly get reminders to do that. But what it does is if it's 95% right on what it does and how it moves stuff from your inbox into a subfolder, that 5% or that 3% where it's wrong, where it put an email response from a new prospect, a new client, where it made the decision to put it under marketing or put it under, maybe follow up later, that's a costly mistake. So I actually ripped that out because I said, you know what, I don't want it managing that piece of it just because I want some conciseness on what's I've got spam filters for that and all these other things that I can do with just basically rules and Outlook. But that was the thing with Fixer, is that is it worth that 5% risk
Right.
of missing that potential, especially for doing lead generation, things like that. So that's where but Fixer was at one. I said that's nice because I have inbox chaos. So
Yeah,
I may
Right.
be trusting Fixer too much.
what's that?
I said
Yeah.
I may be trusting it too much.
Double check it, fact check it, and
Spot check it every once in a while.
yeah, and just see. But the drafts are nice. It creates a draft ready for you to go. But again, it wouldn't be in my tone typically. But I've got inbox chaos, so I'm looking for anything.
So for those of us that have tried Copilot and didn't find it all that user-friendly or helpful or as good as just some of the other tools, it sounds like you're saying maybe give it a shot again, whether it's now or a little bit at some point down the road.
I would if you just, for me, and this is for me, Joe's a savant at writing emails. For me, it's worth it for the $1 a day for me to, if I'm sending out 10 emails, to just say rewrite it and let me look at it and see. And it's got my tone. I mean, it might add respectfully at the end, which is great, but I always in it and thanks or thank you, right? That's not a big deal to me, but just it's like having Grammarly, but it's having Grammarly, but actually adding in more insights. So for that, it's worth $1 a day for me.
Yeah, it's tough. I because we use specific tools for all kinds of things that Copilot does marginally well. We use a specific tool for to create presentation decks.
Right.
So no help from Copilot there.
Are you using
Gamma.
Gamma on that one?
We're using Gamma.
It's hard to beat them.
Love it.
Yeah.
They've gotten better.
Better and better, yeah.
I'm an old school Excel person, and I've gotten Copilot once to write a formula for me that I said okay.
worked. Yeah.
Probably would have taken me a little while.
Yeah.
To do that, but
Cool.
forget about it in analyzing data,
Right.
for example. It's just not there
That's
yet.
not what it does. Okay. Good stuff.
So let's talk about money, because a lot of
Mitch's
companies
favorite subject.
it is. I can't tell you how many times I would write checks to marketing companies, and it was $3,500 a month.
Yeah.
And congratulations, you're going to get a new blog every week, and it's going to help you with your SEO. Well, Brad and I were talking a week ago about the trend of people just abandoning search in general on Google
Yes.
and going to the LLM of their choice to find what they need to find. How do you advise a business today on saving money on SEO and ensuring that their current marketing firm is leveraging the use of LLMs appropriately when it comes to how they write their content, how they build their site, how they structure it to enable things to search on it? What do you tell people?
Thanks.
A lot of business owners hanging on this answer. Come
Yeah,
on,
and this
no.
is a really heavy topic, and I think as Brian mentioned earlier, maybe before we started recording, this is a lot of our focus. We call it AI search visibility. In improving your visibility, it's the SEO of the new world, and a lot of things are the same and important. Things like backlinks and that kind of thing that you just don't get with adding AI. But a lot of things are different.
Yeah, a lot's different. A lot of the same concepts apply, but a lot of them don't. What AI looks for is social proof. It wants to see what you're backlinking to, but it needs to be from a credible source. It's not just a source that's looking at, if we're linked, if somebody references us on a mechanical site, or HVAC site, it's not as important. So it's looking for us not only to get good backlinks, but it's looking for content, blog posts. It's looking for us to have signed up for things like Better Business Bureau, obviously, which we already are, but like for Yellow Pages, Bing places, things we'd never thought of before. It likes the listicle, very schematic. It likes to read from that. I had to reopen my Yellow Page, which is crazy. I was like,
Yellow Page.
But let's talk
Yellow
about that
Pages.
specifically, right? Yellow Pages. We were doing the research and we go, Yellow Pages. Who the heck uses
We're
Yellow
falling
Pages?
decades behind.
Yeah,
now.
like,
I thought
my
the power
kids
team
don't
was the
even
only
know
one that
what
used
Yellow
the
Pages mean,
Yellow
right?
Pages.
And so you look into it, and humans never think about Yellow Pages as an authoritative source, but Yellow Pages started as the authoritative source for business information.
So they're back.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And
They were back.
and AI still trusts them as that authoritative source. When we went, I think we have 3 Yellow Pages listings.
I had to submit a
None
support
of them were
request,
accurate.
and somebody answered.
None of them were claimed. And so there's work to be done there.
Wow.
And that's just Yellow Pages, but
Yeah, there's a checklist of things. A Yelp, obviously any of the main ones like Google Business Review, but that's not as important now as what it is. But you also have to look at
let's talk about Bing.
Bing. Obviously, there's a tie-in with GPT, right? So it's still using its model, right, until MLM comes out and it's Microsoft's
Like
model.
Microsoft Edge, Bing.
So here's how we found it out. Brian was, we were, as we typically do, we use AI to find out about AI, and we ask it about itself and that kind of thing. And Brian flat out asked it, "Hey, which search engine are you using when you're doing all this research?" And I kind of gave a loose answer, and then eventually it got around. Well, yeah, we're using Bing. And so and this is GPT, and so it makes sense, right? GPT is competing with Google. They're not going to, share, that kind of thing. And so, if you were Bing Places or Bing
Places,
Bing Business or whatever, if your Bing profile isn't nice and well hydrated and has rich content and reviews and that kind of stuff, you're going to be missing out on a lot of what GPT specifically respects.
Which
as
is
an
like
authority.
80% of businesses, right?
Yeah.
Probably don't have a Bing profile.
Right. Yeah. Everybody focuses on
at
their
least.
Google reviews and all that kind of stuff. That's not doing you any well. GPT will still look at your Google profile. It's just not going to be able to.
It's
get
not as
rich,
weighted as much
information.
Yeah.
And as codified information, structured information that it can use to compare and contrast and
So Yellow Pages and Bing, and then I think you mentioned Better Business Bureau.
Yes.
Yes, that is yes.
Seriously.
Now, and not only
So
Better
the
Business-
boomers have control of AI. Is that what we're
Yes.
saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
We need some
Yeah.
clay tablets. Can it reference some clay tablets as well?
Well, let's bring up Yelp too. Honestly, Yelp. Great product. I'm sure some people use it for certain things, but we've abandoned that. Well, now we're having clients, right? If they're going to write us a review or do whatever, we have a program basically that sends them to, thanks, if you wouldn't mind adding a review. We just now have them go to Yelp, and then we're going to do in Better Business Bureau. We're going to do in other sites that have that authoritative source,
Right.
which AI looks at those things, and it looks at if it's going to get a real question from a real user about a real service, it wants a real answer from whatever source it is, and a review from a certain accredited site, your website FAQ. If it gets that answer and it combines them all together and says, this is the company you're looking for, that's where the competitive edge really is.
So we've spent probably way too much time more than we have talking about authoritative sources, right? But we can talk about how AI not only loves rich, natural human language and interactions, but it also loves structure. And so, for example, there is a standard out there from the international standards or from standards.org, that says this is the official structure of a blog page, or this is the official structure of an FAQ page. And so that includes question and very structured, right? You can build that stuff into the back end of into the coding of your website so that AI sees that structure and it says, "Ooh, I really love structure. I can do something with structure."
Yeah.
Whereas it may not get that, just from plain text.
So then that structure that AI sees, you've got a bunch of, I would say, side hustlers right now helping people with AI, building websites. And is their structure always available to AI to see that?
My understanding is that most, or at least some of those systems, are generating kind of dynamic content that doesn't really have a lot of structure.
Meaning
in
the
the
website
underlying
gets
layer.
built as the user goes to it. It's not necessarily a page
Right.
that's sitting there that the LLM can read.
Right.
Yes, because every site has to have obviously the robots file that you manage text, but then you've got to write schema that's mentioned on your main page schema. Google still has to read it and get through it. So does AI. AI has
So does Bing.
So does Bing. So does Bing. Yes. So
Right,
get your Bing going. But yeah, you still don't have to use Bing, thank goodness, to search. But it is one of those things that there's some little things that you can do through Google's platform, right? To say inspect my URL, right? Inspect my page, and that's a good starting point too, because if Google doesn't like it, AI is still not going to like it either, right? So there's still some cleaning. There's some house cleaning you have to do on your website, regardless.
Yeah.
So a
Nothing
website
major.
built on Lovable is going to be hard to be SEO optimized natively.
There are some things that you still need to maintain.
100%.
control over.
If you're in a company where they build the website for you, probably not a good scenario, right? They're not, if it's like, oh, well,
Right.
you're a real estate agent and I'm going to build you a site, but it's going to be a subdomain of this site, right?
And if you're using,
Wix
GoDaddy or not, love GoDaddy for
Right.
some things.
Yeah.
But using that to
Their
create a
templates,
site,
yeah.
right? Or if you're using AI to generate your content that you're going to just plop on a website without really reviewing that and putting in your own voice and that kind of thing. AI already knows how AI talks, and it's not going to put the same level of value on that content as it does from something that's clearly generated by a human.
Very cool.
Did we answer your money question?
We could talk
Yeah,
on this. We have
I
an
mean-
hour and a half
No.
presentation on this. So.
I'm
Well-
sure, we'll get people connected with you guys to learn.
Yeah,
more.
let's say someone has a developer right now, or a marketing firm that's managing their website, because that's traditionally what happens. A marketing firm builds a site, and they don't like to change it more than every 3 to 4 years. So, if the last time you built your website was really prior to 2024, the odds of you being out of shape when it comes to being fine, like for an LLM to find your site, is going to be very, very high.
Yep.
Correct.
I would say to that, because I know where you're heading on this one, is if you're paying, however much money a month for that company to do what they say they're doing, right? They're giving you these 3 posts a month. They're doing the bare minimum.
They're not updating your WordPress.
Yeah, so yeah,
plugins.
there's also that. But you want to use AI as a business owner, as to say, okay, how does my website? Just ask it that. How does it compete with these other companies in as far as how you see our website?
Right.
And then
why?
And then the next question it'll follow up is AI will be like, do you want me to do this? Which is, by the way, bonus tip. Always when AI gives you another response, that
prompt.
continuation, would you like for me to find those 5 competitors in your area? Yes. Would you like me to do a deep analysis of those 5 characters? Yes. And so it just gets better and better. And then at the end, when you get that report and it shows you ranked like number 8 against your competitors, go to your marketing company and say, why? Why is this? And if they give you a reason that's, well, we need more keyword stuffing, or we need more of this, let's add more landing pages about cities, right? Let's blanket it with every city in the DFW area and do that, and let's keep the same content. We'll just throw it on every page, but add a new map.
And I'll add that we're going to talk a little bit about AI agents, I think, later. But this is actually kind of the natural process that we do. To build agents, we use AI to do all of our research, including asking it, to continue, teach us what we don't know,
Right.
And then we use all of that, that work to then turn around and train an agent, on a best practice. Sometimes in a field or discipline that we don't fully understand ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, let's a great segue there. Let's jump right into that. So agents? I mean, maybe give us. I think our listeners, we've talked about this before, but maybe give us your quick, definition of an agent, and then kind of what are some repetitive and time-consuming tasks that you see, really some low-hanging fruit where you can build and implement agents.
Yeah. So when I think of agents, I think of creating something. So you've got your active agents, which if you go to GPT-5, right, the newest one, they've got agents, right, that actually do real-time scheduled tasks. You give it kind of an outline of what you want it to do. Every morning I want it to check this, and this, right? It's really easy to tell that agent, what to do. From our standpoint, we create GPTs. So, it's custom GPT. Everybody can go up to your My GPTs and then click GPT, and it'll say, well, what do you want me to do? And there's your chance to say, well, I want whenever that I want to first I would open up another window to Chat GPT and say, I want to create a GPT that's for this, and it's going to give me the instructions for it, right?
Okay.
And then you just have two windows open. One is you just keep modifying it so that it actually shows you the perfect instructions to put in that GPT. Mm-hmm. And then you place it in the GPT and you call it client prospecting tool. Because for us, when we drive up or we get a call from a new prospect, I just want to type in the name of your company. And I want it to give me every metric about you when you're founded. Who's the owners of the company? What is your revenue? How many employees you have?
What board memberships, your leadership?
There's certain things you've said. Every time I type in a business name, tell me these 22 things.
Yes,
whatever it is.
Yes. And when it doesn't output that, I go back to my other screen and say, okay, here, I do a snippet of it and say, this is the result. It didn't do that. Oh, I see why. Update your instructions to be this. Mm-hmm. I copy and paste, and then I do the same thing. And when it finally gives me the output that I want, and then by the time I get to the clients or the prospect, I have most of the information there. I have most of it enough to give me a good guideline to where I'm not going in blind on it. That's just one example of a client of a GPT.
So the way that I think about an AI agent is no different than any functional position that you would hire, or maybe some duties of a particular position, and so you're spending the time training the agent up front, making sure making sure that it fits not only best practice but also how your business operates, aligned with with all of the things that make you rather than your competition, and then it's just like having a really good employee who's walked through the door and who you've put through that 2-week training program, who is ready to do that task. Mm-hmm. And so and it takes out a lot of the we really see it with repetitive tasks, where people really see an early benefit.
You're removing ambiguity.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And putting guardrails in place by
you tell the agent, if you don't have the information that you need, don't assume, don't go outside and make assumptions, which is hallucination, right? Yeah. Ask. Get clarity on it, because that way you'll get the right output on it, because you got to put those guardrails in place, otherwise it will fill in the blanks.
So your employees, what used to take 9 months to get them up to speed with how your processes work, now within 60 days they're kind of running full speed because they've got these GPTs you've created that kind of, nope, it's always this order and this is how we do things.
Yep. That's some of what we've done operationally. I'll give you a specific example. We have a process that we call change control. Every responsible MSP and IT organization runs this program, and change control is all about assessing not only the business need for a change, but also what you're going to be doing, who you're going to be communicating to, what you're going to do if that change fails, and requires an approval. All of that stuff is hard work for IT people. Okay. Talking about a business problem, talking about making very concise operational steps for what that is. Because if that person writes that change control and everybody plans to have a downtime at 9:00 on a Friday night, and that person is out, any well-qualified person should be able to take their script and run with it, right? Okay. So that's what change management is all about. Pulling teeth to get really good stuff where people think about it and that kind of thing. And so we now have change management agent, where our techs Their only real job is to recognize when a change management approval is required. That trigger has been done. As soon as they do that, they change the status of a ticket, and they're guided through a process that basically says, dump all of everything you've done into this, and we'll pull in the call script, by the way, from the ticket if it exists, and then it outputs all of the change management for us in a great format. Saves a ton of time, and with a little bit of automation on the back end, and we're actually cutting that down, because lots of times when a client has a need, it's not something that we can plan for Friday at 9 p.m. It's got to get done now. But we still have a fiduciary responsibility and a duty of care to make sure that that's done responsibly.
So Brian, I think you said GPT. Are you referring to ChatGPT?
ChatGPT.
Okay,
Yes.
but you're talking about building these, what we're calling agents. They're also called GPTs.
Yes.
In
It's
ChatGPT.
my GPTs.
Yeah, my GPTs. Under that my GPT section, you can create a new GPT that we're using the same interchangeably as an agent. Right?
Correct. I mean, it's an agent that you define the guardrails on.
Right.
The agents where you actually go to search, and you add in, you do search, and then you do the plus sign, and then you've got one that says agents on there.
Yeah.
That's a dynamic agent, right? That's one that's really going out there and searching and doing various tasks that may or may not be guardrailed. It actually is spinning up a virtual machine. It's doing a lot of things where it's actually testing. So there's certain scenarios where that type of agent is important. But right now, as of today, October 27th or 2025, you're limited on how many times you can run that agent, right? I've been capped out at like 6 times on a
And
account.
I would also add that those types of agents, are you can only get so far with kind of like one solution like GPT. For example, for lead generation, we have a back-end automation platform. It's all built on N8N. It's a
N8N,
yeah.
Yep.
And so one of those agents is sitting around waiting for an email response from from that call to action, and it's ready to respond on our behalf, right? But that's living in a completely different world than GPT.
You're self-hosting that.
Yes, a little
so you've got-
workflow plus AI. It's all sorts of
And you can do that for people.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Perfect.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a good question, Mitch, because it's like still we talk about these things. I think on the GPT side of things, like if again, most of our listeners are at least kind of gone there, and some of them are way ahead of that and more advanced, but at least go in and try and just play around with it. Think about something that you're doing on a very regular basis that's just a little bit mundane that you could train. And I thought, Brian, what you said is like go to a new window and start talking to it about what you need and tell it to give me basically the instructions for my agent, to build my
100%.
agent. And then take it back over here
because
and build this agent.
Because otherwise what will happen is if you just go, I want you to do this, and I would like, please do this. You're adding a lot of words in there that are really going to change the outcome. Please and thank you and appreciate that. Honestly, those are words you need to leave out, because it really, if you're trying to create something, you want to tell thank you. Like my wife's on Perplexity and she loves it, but she'll say can you please do this? Well, that changes the outcome of what you're probably asking. It adds at least one more word into it. So you really need to call it, Spartan, right? You got to have a Spartan tone, right? Direct, and you'll get direct output. Which I love that.
Sometimes I get mean with mine and I get better answers.
Oh, yes.
Trust me. You are being lazy. You're not thinking hard enough. You're taking shortcuts.
I love it. I love it when it's honest with me, to be frank. I like it when it's just, Brian, you're going, just stop.
It's told you that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
I've had like more than one situation where I go, why am I fighting against a computer like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's like debugging, like in the old school world,
So we talked a little bit about optimizing your site for SEO. One of the other things I think businesses run into a lot is I need content, and you covered really well how to do a blog the correct way. But when it comes to Facebook post, Instagram post, and creating videos and images, how do those play over in the real world when you're working with Facebook and running Google ad campaigns? Do those images hurt you? Do they help you? Or is it just, hey, good images win, whether it's human made or AI generated?
For now, I want to lean toward the last option. And I think that people are evolving, and they can see when AI is coming into play. Certainly, we've got a whole series of videos where Brian's dogs are dressed in our polos, and
Right.
it's a whole follows The Office, that kind of thing, and they're talking, and obviously easy to.
I mean, it made sense to me at the time, right?
But but I mean, for images, I think specifically, I think right now it's still okay to get some help from AI.
The best image wins.
Yeah. I think it's just the way you. So what I have learned is you start with the best practices. You always start with the post on your site. You start with the event. You start with whatever you're going to be talking about on Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. Because you want to backlink that Facebook and LinkedIn to your website. So if you've got an event coming up, create it on your website. Or if you've got the 5 top things you should be looking at when you're buying real estate, 5 top things you should look at when you're considering switching MSPs. Put that on your website first, and then you go and you post it on Facebook and LinkedIn. People kind of forget about they'll do the posts but nobody's going to that unless you're referencing from Facebook, right? Or if you're finding a way to get it, because that brings authoritative sources, LinkedIn business, right, and Facebook business, and so it's just a way to really increase the impressions, help with the authoritative piece, but also just crafting how AI looks at it too, and also how your team look. Don't overstuff your posts too much on LinkedIn and Facebook. Put that content on your website, which takes doesn't take any time. But as far as like the content itself, what we use is, and we'll combine a little bit. Obviously, we start with the content. Like we're going to say the 5 reasons you should consider switching MSPs, right?
And we're going to start that content at its richest and most
From
wordy
us.
format in our voice. And for example, we're almost always going to include some story of our own, usually by abstracting the client name, but be able to talk about a situation that we went through, and how this topic applied to our situation, because that adds some very clear specificity and experience that the AI engines are going to appreciate. And then as we kind of distill that content down for different modalities and different platforms, all of that rich custom content follows along, right? And it looks unique. It doesn't look like it's generated from AI specifically.
Yeah, and so, but you've got it, whether you're in HVAC or in construction, if you're creating an article or just writing just the 5 things, you've got to at least have that substance there. And then you have GPT look at it. Then you have Claude look at it and say, hey, Claude, make it less AI-ish. Robotic-y, right? And it'll say, oh, okay, you want me to clean? Well, let's go ahead and tone it down a little bit more. Make it more personal. It's still your content. It's just kind of been put through the rinse a couple times because you want it to sound as natural as possible. Another thing we did was we basically would have a service where it would post every other day from one of our powered service companies, and it would just do, and it'd get 0 impressions, 2 impressions, but it was new content going to our websites. If the new content is basically being used on other websites too, probably, we all pay for the same service in our MSP world, and it's probably not original content. It's doing nothing but really kind of diluting when you put a post on there, Google should crawl and go, ooh, got new content. But instead it's being hit with this new content that's just, it's reading it going, this is the same garbage. I've seen this on freaking a million sites.
I actually think that
nothing
the
is
content hurts you more.
Yeah,
than
we had ours turned off this week. Actually,
we turned it off
because the canned content has been seen by and crawled so many times. It basically decreases your. And I think AI looks at it the same way. I've seen this stuff. This is not original.
Yeah. So you're a small business right now, and it's been 5 years since you've done anything with IT, because most people look at IT as it's a headache, it's a problem, it takes time. They haven't done anything. They want to make sure, like they hear this episode, they want to get IT involved, and they call their provider because they like them, they've been using them, they trust them. What do they ask their current provider so that they've got confidence that their current provider understands AI? Like, what are you looking for?
That's a really interesting question.
Like maybe if you're going to add someone to your team, what do you want to know that they have a good understanding of with where you guys are in your AI journey?
Well, I think I mean, just by example, y'all are a new client of ours. You asked us to join this podcast. I don't know, maybe a week ago or
Right.
something, and then Dallin sent us an agenda, and we scanned it, and we rehearsed 30-minute, on the 30-minute drive
Yep.
over
Right.
here. But I can't count the number of presentations and everything that we've been doing in AI, and so I would say, because if you want to ask an IT person and how much they know about AI, and you send them an email, they probably go use AI to get an answer, right?
Yeah, I would say get them on a call. And,
Get them on a call,
yeah.
or have them take you to lunch, or take them to lunch,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever, and have that real interaction, just like we're having here today.
Y'all take us to lunch? Is that an option?
Joe,
Y'all had us over
jeez.
barbecue recently.
No, we
so
had
I
you,
guess we
but
do.
you. No,
Yeah,
I'm just
well, yeah, we're
Yeah,
playing.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Oopsie, should
It-
have cut that. Let's cut that from the.
So you want to have a conversation with them about
yes.
AI.
Yes.
And do it over just a call or a review or whatever. And if they say, yeah, it's just not ready, it's not rounded out, seriously consider that they need to at least be, and ask them how they're using it in their business.
Yeah.
And do it in a way that's not, oh, the IT guys are going to be upset. No, if they are one of those that are get off my lawn and they're running your IT, they need to be very open. They obviously need to be aware of the security. Things have to be tight. You don't want somebody that's like, oh yeah, let's go try this LLM because I think it's really kick-a. You want something in between, but you want them forward thinking, because if your business is growing, they need to be scaling and they need to be using AI. Otherwise,
So you ask them how they're using AI in their business.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd take it further, and I would say that if that provider, if you don't walk away from that meeting with some amazing novel idea that person has brought to you, that you hadn't already thought of,
And I would take
you
it
need
even.
to find different.
I would
help.
take it even further than that. I'm gonna
Let's
go
go.
one up on you. I would say,
I mean,
why have
seriously.
you not presented this to me, and why does it require me going out to lunch with you?
I was
Yeah,
just looking at just noticed Brad's computer before we started. He had this crazy schematic from tiny text, from something in your world,
Right.
Selling a building or whatever, and I was just going, I want to show him what AI can do with that.
Let's go. Let's go, Jeff.
So they should be able to tell you what they can do to help you within 30 days with AI. And if they can't do that, then they're not doing it in their business. And why would you let them test on yours?
They should be able to give you that confidence in that meeting, and you should walk away with it, feeling great and feeling that they're adding more value than protecting your emails and
Yeah,
that
I know.
they're thinking about your business.
100%. And I think if they
Yeah.
say, you know what, and they come off with a good answer as to why they didn't, that's fine too, because I think taking the slower approach at times can be okay when you're dealing with data and all of your company's data, right? Potentially, if you don't do it the right way, we make sure that if we're going to implement something, the safeguards are in place. But if they come back and say, you know what, I just don't think it's right. Well, what do you not think it's right? Well, I mean, what about it? Ask them questions that are like, well, I heard about Copilot, and I don't know, it just seems really far-fetched. I would have concerns at that point.
Right.
But if they just say, you know what, it's something we're still testing, or at least they give you some assurance of it, then that they're using it internally, but they want to make sure it's the best model they go with before they release it to clients or suggest it. That's fine too. I mean, Copilot's not cheap, but because that's really the easy one to get into. Just add a license and you could get them in a Copilot. But I think their journey needs to be much further along than the client's journey in AI, right?
Makes
And,
sense.
and if they just say no, then your information will be in the show notes, and they can call you guys.
It would be something. It would be something like this. If you let's think back 15 years ago, where it's like somebody goes and says, "Hey, what are your thoughts, IT guy, on Google?" And he goes, "Nah, Netscape's. I think that's
Right.
Internet Explorer is still the champ." And we're hearing a lot about Google and actually the how fast it gets the really. No, I'd stick with DuckDuckGo or and
AOL.
I mean, after Netscape, that's what I'm saying. Like
Bing.
Netscape and all of that, like those are the dating ourselves, but like that would be somebody that's really not a cutting edge. It's just somebody that's not open.
I think a lot of our listeners are kind of those business owners or operators, like you described earlier, that are kind of forward thinking.
Yeah.
but they still may be hesitant, or maybe they haven't jumped all in. What do you see? I know we've talked about a lot of things, but the biggest opportunity right now for these individuals to be thinking about and kind of ways to use AI to really transform their business.
I would say well, just one thing for me is just if as a small business owner, looking at AI to become better at what you do, more efficient, right? And just try it. You make sure that you do it in a way where you set up let's just spend the $20 and let's get a GPT Teams plan, right? Let's do that. But other than that, it doesn't hurt to say, hey, show me what my competitor is doing that I'm not doing, right? It's show me how I can make my staff efficient. It's going to give you the guidelines for a lot of the things that you've been wasting time on. I can't tell you the countless times we've had clients we've talked to and go, oh my God, it can do that. And that's not anything that's real scary, but I think there is still is it taking my job? But most owners, if it just do it in a way to where at least try. I would say ChatGPT is a good model to try, and then just ask it questions that you really want to know the answers to. I mean, that's what's so great about AI is the conversational side of it. These are my concerns. This is where I feel like, how can you help me in my business? This is what I do. You're gonna have to give up some information. You can be a little, it depends how concerned you are around that. But I'd also say, just give it whatever you put into it, you're going to get out of it.
And I would just add that, the way that you kind of prioritize is, I think a lot of companies aren't great at objectively measuring exactly how much time that they spend. Especially on repetitive tasks, but everyone knows which of those tasks are laborious, and and everybody knows which tasks are the most risky. Where it's a great place to put AI. Put AI in as a backstop. We use the simple communications issue from the AR department as that AI is acting as a backstop. And so.
And that's your cash flow.
Yeah, and that's money, right? And so, I think an entrepreneur or a forward thinker just starts to look at the things in their business that are inefficient, that are painful, especially those tasks that are taking highly valued, highly talented people away from higher causes. And then. Our job a lot of our job is not knowing exactly how to do something, but understanding that something can be done, and what the possibilities are, and then challenging yourself to say, well, what if AI could do this, this, and this for me? And then the next thing you do is you go to AI and you say, how can I do this, this, and this? Right. And you'll find the path. I mean, you will. And then you'll get a little win here, you'll get a little win there. Could be on AI or image generation for the just the virtual background for your virtual meetings, right? That's one place to really have fun with AI. See an easy win and show your staff, hey, this can help, right? And we didn't have to reduce. We're not looking to reduce workforce. We're looking for y'all to have better use of your time. But it's adoption's big.
Yeah, and adoption's huge. And I would say once the owner or the let's just say that there has to be an application champion within your company. AI will not succeed in your company if the owner doesn't buy in, or your GC or the senior leadership C-levels. Somebody has to keep pushing because it's not perfect. It's not going to give you the answers to the world, right? Solve every problem, but by the second or third prompt, it might give you the answers you were wanting. But if somebody says, don't worry, it's just the owner saying that, or it's just, owner doesn't even believe in it, why am I trying it? It takes serious commitment, and that's how we have to do it with our staff too. You would think with 20 or 30-year-olds, they would just love to just bounce all over it. That's a hard.
Younger guys and gals.
Yeah,
are still,
they're used to Reddit. Right. They'll just go spend 30 minutes on the Reddit wormhole, and we're like, no, use Perplexity or GPT. I mean, these are the accounts we provide you. Don't do that. Ask the right prompt
Go
or
to
question.
Perplexity and let Perplexity ask Reddit.
Yes, and it'll watch. Oh, by the way, it'll watch 20 videos for you around the same topic and give you a nice clean output.
And I don't think that we can come to a conclusion at all without acknowledging that this is an exciting new frontier, right?
Right.
But along with that comes a lot of risk, so that is one area where ask AI about the risks of AI, and you'll get some good input. But AI will generally tell you, hey, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not an engineer. Go.
But
seek
here's
some
your answer.
professional-
Yes, yes.
right?
But if I
And
was going to
so,
give you an answer.
for example, one of the things that we highly encourage is toss your employee handbook over to AI and
Right.
see what it has to say about it, right? Because that's one of those chores that updating your website 5 years, forget about that. We've seen employee handbooks that are twice that.
Yeah.
20 years old.
Yeah. But
Here's what it says, and here's why you're out of code.
right.
Yes.
But what AI might produce for you and that you may not really pay attention to may have real implications in how you run your business, how you treat your employees, what you're obligating yourself to do, that kind of thing. And so you need to be careful. I've run contracts back and forth between 3 or 4 different AI systems. Having it build a sample partnership contract.
Right.
And even still, we handed that over to a lawyer, and we just said, hey, we've been, just curious what
Same thing he's probably
he ripped
doing,
it apart,
honestly,
right?
yeah.
Right.
Ripped it apart, right?
Yeah.
And so, be careful.
He can't charge you for 5 hours.
He's got to stay relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's like,
but it
"Yeah,
also
it's AI."
includes, it's great to explore all of the AI tools that are available using their free functionality. You're not going to get much. You're not going to get much horsepower, but you're also helping to train those public AI engines when you do that.
That's true.
Our GPT, I'm sure you've probably noticed it too, but our GPT now at the bottom says, on-site PC services content is not used to train the public.
Yeah, we make sure all the connectors are disabled. Anything that hooks into it, box, drop, share, we turn off all. I mean, unless we have, obviously with SharePoint, we have all. It adheres to all the security permissions that are related to SharePoint. So we limit that piece of it. You, as a business owner, you got to be careful about what you allow for your organization, even in GPT.
another big
Which is
risk.
scary when a random employee decides, well, I actually like using Grok more, and doesn't change those settings and throws all your company information into it, or just their own personal GPT account, right?
Or the Copilot example. So rewinding a little bit in my history, I'm kind of old. 25 years ago, my company bought a Google appliance. So this at the time was a 1U kind of thing that you could put in your own server rack, and it was a Google search engine for your corporate data, right?
Okay.
So you could just go to your own internal Google page and type it in. What we quickly discovered was that some things weren't secured in those underlying systems the way they should be. And so a secretary went in and typed in executive compensation 2002 or whatever it was. And that data was hiding in security by obscurity, right?
Yeah.
And so that's an insane risk that you have in your own 365 environment, because if you haven't applied any sort of governance to your SharePoint or your OneDrive environments, that kind of thing, if you've got mailbox sharing permissions, all of that stuff should be reviewed by a professional, honestly, an IT professional before you dance in that water.
And it should be asked to your current IT provider if they make a suggestion. Ask them how they should say, well, here's the
Here are the
security.
risks. Yeah.
Here's the risk, because we've got to make sure. If they just say, yeah, let's go ahead and try it. Well, okay. Well, that sounded like a really quick answer.
I hope it works. Well, Brian, Joe, thanks again for joining us. You guys have been, obviously, you're light years ahead of most, and I love the fact that, like we talked about at the beginning here, just we all kind of think, well, IT guys know all of this AI stuff, and we found that's not the case, but you guys obviously know your stuff. And so where can people find more information about you and get connected with you guys?
They can go to our website, ospcservices.com. Go to our LinkedIn page. I believe it's LinkedIn/onsite PC.
Okay.
Or they can always give us a call at 817-306-6106.
Or type in on-site PC services into Bing.
Yes.
Bing.
Yelp through Bing, and then you bounce back through that, or
Right.
ask AI and say
Go to the
on-site
yellow
PC.
pages.
Just ask AI the on-site PC services. You know, we started the company as 25 years ago as we drove out on site, and we've kept the name because
And
We
here you
never
are.
go on site
You're
now.
on site.
But
Yeah,
I'm
we're-
on site in this
we're-
scenario. This is a fun
Yeah.
scenario.
All right.
But thank you for having us.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Thanks for jumping on, guys.
Yeah,
All right, listeners, thanks for tuning in today. We'll be back next week with something even more intelligent. Is that possible?
Whoa.
I don't know. We just need everyone to leave a review.
Why don't you do that for us? Yeah.
All
Like,
5 of 'em.
subscribe, and leave a review. Well, we'll join you. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us today.